Hello, it's John Cheek here from UniTasterDays, and this is a Clearing Plus and Results Day special. I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Lydia and Ruth. Lydia is joining us from the University of East Anglia, Ruth from the University of Winchester, and they're going to deliver a fantastic session looking at four main areas: what clearing is and some of the key scenarios that you might be encountering when it comes to Results Day, as well as what is Clearing Plus and the actual timeline. So how can you prepare for Clearing and Results Day, and then what happens after, depending on whichever route you choose to do. I know that you've tuned in to hear from our speakers, not from myself, so I want to introduce our first speaker now. That's Lydia, joining us from the University of East Anglia. Lydia, over to you.
Hi everyone, thanks very much for tuning into this video, obviously about Clearing and Clearing Plus. As you just heard, my name is Lydia and I'm a higher education advisor at the University of East Anglia, which is a campus-based university in Norwich. So I'm just going to go briefly over some of the kind of key dates to be aware of this year, also kind of how to use Clearing if you end up sort of in that position, and the different kind of outcomes that might happen on Results Day based on the grades that you are given. So just to sort of start, what is Clearing? I'm sure you've heard it sort of thrown around your sixth form and college. You've heard friends, teachers talking about it, but maybe you're a little unsure about what it actually means. But Clearing is basically how universities and colleges fill spaces that they have on their courses. So you can use Clearing as a kind of a new applicant, so someone who hasn't actually applied through UCAS already. Or you could use Clearing if you have changed your mind completely about the university you're meant to go to, or perhaps you have missed your grades, so you're therefore not holding an offer at a university currently. So there's a number of kind of different ways and reasons why you might use Clearing, but hopefully this will be sort of reassuring, and you'll realise that it's perhaps not as daunting as it seems, and there are some really good competitive places in Clearing that you could apply for. So just to begin with, I'm going to just talk briefly about some of these dates for this year. Obviously, some have already passed, depending on kind of when you're watching this. So the 30th of June, if you kind of didn't apply through UCAS before that point and have applied since then, so after the 30th of June, you will have automatically gone into Clearing. So any new UCAS applicants will go sort of into the kind of Clearing cycle rather than the main one. The 5th of July is when we received IB results. So if you did the International Baccalaureate rather than perhaps A-levels or BTECs, you will have had your results in July. Obviously, the 10th of August is the kind of main results day for all English results. So A-levels, BTECs, various other qualifications. Universities will have actually received these results prior to this point, and we will work kind of up in the days before that to kind of work out who's got into which course. But this is the date where those results will be available to you. And then a couple of days after that, on the 12th of August, is when the GCSE results come in. So if there are any of you who are perhaps waiting for GCSEs as well as A-levels, and both of those are going to determine kind of which university you might go to or get into, that's another date to obviously be aware of. The 8th of September is another date to kind of bear in mind. This is when, if you've perhaps appealed some of your grades or you're waiting for additional results to come back, this is the last point or the latest point that you can kind of have all of those academic requirements ready in order to kind of start your course this year. So universities need to have those kind of academic qualifications at the latest by the 8th of September. Now, do obviously double check with universities that you've applied to and you're hoping to go to. It might be that they need them in by perhaps the end of the day before, but they should make that clear to you if you are waiting for sort of delayed results or appealed grades. And then obviously between sort of September to sort of end of October, this will be your university start dates. So again, obviously every university will be different, but this is the time where those courses will be starting. Keep an eye on your emails, obviously, as this is where all that information will be sent about where you need to be, when your moving in date is, if you're moving away from home, and any other kind of key deadlines that you need to be aware of. So that's just to give you a bit of an overview of kind of dates across the summer with sort of Results Day, UCAS, The UCAS website has got a much more kind of detailed timeline with timings on particular days as well. So I'd recommend having a look on there too. So I'm just going to go through some of the, I guess, outcomes that might happen on results day. So depending on sort of what happens in terms of your results and university responses, these are sort of the various options that you might have. So first of all is that you might already have an unconditional offer from your chosen university. So you sort of already know that you've got that place. It's not based on your grades. You'd already been offered that kind of unconditional place previously earlier this year. Obviously, it's brilliant. You know, kind of you've got that place secure. You can, if you want to, go and look at a different university. So if you've had a change of heart, you can release yourself into clearing, even if you've got that unconditional offer. It's probably not encouraged, but things do change. And obviously it might be that that university is not the right place for you. So you can do that if you would like to with an unconditional offer. The next one is if you have a conditional offer. So the university originally said to you, you can come to our university, you can join this course as long as you meet these conditions. And on results day, you've got the grades, you've met the conditions, which is brilliant. So that means that your sort of hopefully your kind of firm choice will have confirmed that spot, or perhaps you've missed your firm but got into your insurance. But either way, one of those choices will be marked as confirmed through your UCAS track. Again, if you've had a change of heart, you can change course if you want to. You might want to go to the same university, but are now interested in a different course. So get in touch with them. There's no harm in asking. And again, if you then decide you do want to go into clearing, you can obviously self-release into clearing the same as mentioned before. So I guess they're the more sort of obvious things that might happen on results day that you're hopefully expecting, but there are lots of other things that might happen as well. So you may actually end up exceeding your predicted grades, so doing better than what you anticipated, better than the grades that were on your kind of original UCAS application. And if that's the case, you can use something called adjustment. And this is where you can apply to, I guess, more sort of aspirational universities for you with higher entry requirements if you wish. You don't have to, you can just go to that firm or insurance choice university that you've got into and hopefully you're really happy with. But if you would like to adjust and see what other options are out there, you can collect a number of adjustment offers whilst holding on to your original place. So you won't lose that spot, but you can almost shop around if you wish to see sort of if there's another place out there that you're interested in. And adjustment normally closes on the 18th of August. So you've got sort of a week or so to do that if you would like to. If you no longer want to go to university, you can withdraw completely. Just be aware that this can't be undone. It's sort of a final, it kind of cancels your whole application to that university. So obviously think really carefully before doing this, but if you've decided that you do not want to go any longer, then obviously that's an option that you can do. And then the main one, which we're kind of talking about today, is if you have missed your grades, so you've been unsuccessful and you don't have your place. So if you are you've missed your grades completely, you're not in your firm or insurance, you will automatically be put into clearing. And that's obviously where you can begin to contact universities and find out if there's any kind of clearing places for you. You might be looking at retaking exams. So perhaps you missed both those options and you think, actually, I'm going to retake next year and I'm going to reapply in the next UCAS cycle. That's absolutely fine. You can do that if you wish. Just perhaps double check with universities that you'd like to go to, whether they would accept retakes. Most courses do, but there are a handful that don't. Medicine would be an example of that, where there are sometimes particular requirements you need for those retakes. And then appeals. So whether you are appealing your grades that you've received, or you are actually going to appeal to the university directly and say, why haven't I got into this place? Do bear in mind that universities will have tried their best to fit you onto a course where they can. So if you didn't quite get the grades for, let's say, the biology course, we would have hopefully then said, oh, can we get them onto biology with a foundation year, if that's an option. So usually universities will have tried to help where they can, but there is no harm in asking if you are frustrated that you haven't quite got that place. And then exams appeals, that's coming back to that date you mentioned before. So just make sure that you've got all of your results and new results back by the 8th of September, or by the date that the university states, in order to successfully start your course this year. And then the final one is if you've missed your grades, or perhaps your UCAS track says that it's sort of awaiting a decision, and there might be a couple of different things that it says. If it's awaiting a decision, it might still be that your firm or insurance choice are still deciding whether to award you that place or not. There's no harm in contacting them anyway. Ask them if there's anything that they need from you. You can self-release into clearing if you wish, even if you are still awaiting a decision, but do get in touch with those choices just to kind of find out what's happening, so you know kind of what to expect. You might have been made an alternative offer, so perhaps you've missed your grades, but they've offered you again maybe a similar course, or a course with a foundation year option instead, or you may still have had your place confirmed even if you've missed your grades. So if your UCAS track says your place has been confirmed on this course at this university, you may not have quite got the grades, but the university might have let you in anyway. So I'm aware there's lots of information on this slide, but hopefully it kind of brings together all the different kind of things that might happen around results day and sort of different options that you've got. But obviously this sort of opportunity to use clearing is there if you would like to use it. Now, just a few sort of did you knows, things to sort of be aware of. Obviously, as we said, universities do get your results before you do. So we will be kind of working behind the scenes in the days leading up to results day to work out kind of which courses students have got places on, things like working out accommodation, that sort of thing will be happening leading up to results day. You won't see your results on UCAS track. So A-levels, BTEC results, they will come from your sixth form or college. Your UCAS track will just tell you your kind of status in terms of whether you've got your place, you're in clearing, or you've been offered a different course. So don't expect to log in and see your results on UCAS track. It won't update until 8:30 on results day. So in previous years, this was 8 AM, but it's a tiny bit later this year. So obviously just make sure you're sort of checking it at this time to see what's going on. Do bear in mind that clearing vacancies can change all the time. So courses that might be in clearing on results day on the 10th of August might not be by kind of the next day or even the same day on that afternoon. So the sooner you can contact universities, the better. Remember, you can hold as many clearing offers as you like. So if you decide that you either want to go into clearing or you end up in clearing, you can contact multiple universities, you collect as many verbal clearing offers as you wish. So you could do that by phoning up a university. You might be able to chat to the university via live chat if you prefer to kind of do everything in that way rather than speaking to someone directly. And you'll kind of collect these various clearing offers. And then when you've decided which of those you would like to kind of hold on to, you will add that particular university and course as a clearing choice on track. So when you actually talk to the university and they give you the clearing offer, don't expect to see anything change on your UCAS track immediately. You actually are the one who would add that choice into track, and you can do that from 2 PM on the day of results day. So that's just something to be aware of, because you'll sort of think, oh, I've spoken to that university and my track should now update. It won't update because you're the one that will actually enter the choice in when you want to do that. So that self-release option lets you kind of put yourself into clearing, and then obviously you can add the choices and you refer yourself to that particular university on UCAS track. The whole thing can take a little bit of time, so try not to panic. Obviously, if you want some reassurance, there is no harm in contacting the university and saying, obviously, this is my UCAS number, this is my clearing number, can I just have an update on my application? Is there anything I need to do if you're worried? But obviously, don't expect things to update immediately, just make sure you know kind of what's going on and keep in contact with the university. Clearing Plus is a tool that will also help as well, which can be found through the UCAS website. And there are some really good competitive courses in clearing. So don't be kind of too upset or sort of frustrated on results day if you end up using clearing, because you can find some really good places. So just to sort of finish on, I'm going to run through a couple of FAQs. So you've missed your grades and your firm choice has offered you another course. Should you accept? It is completely up to you. If you like the sound of that course, then brilliant. If you don't want to do that course, don't accept a course that you're not interested in. If you're unsure because you don't know much about the course, maybe ask the university if there's anyone you could speak to directly about that course, whether that's an academic or a current student, before you make that decision. So make sure you kind of carefully consider all of your options. If you want to resit, then again, you can do this and you can apply in the next cycle. Just ask the university if they would accept resits for that particular course. There are obviously a handful which have sometimes specific requirements that you'll need before you resit. When you're going through adjustment, do you hold your firm offer whilst looking at other options? And yes, you don't lose your original offer. It's just an opportunity for you to see if there's anything else out there that might be kind of better suited to you. If you want to defer, this again will depend on individual universities. So just give them a call or chat to them and see if it's possible. Again, if you were planning to defer but now want to start this year, the same thing, contact the university. They will help in as much as they can, and we'll want to make sure that we kind of get you sorted. But again, every university will be slightly different as well, and course start dates will vary massively. So again, keep an eye on your emails. I know that sounds a bit silly, especially your kind of junk and sort of spam folder. Sometimes important information can end up in there. And if you don't find a place, there are other options. So it might be that you take some time to perhaps maybe retake an exam, maybe go and have a bit of a gap year to think about your options, get some work experience, maybe reapply next year, chat to your sixth form and college. They might still be able to support your UCAS application next year. So don't be too disheartened if you don't find a place, and make sure that if you do go to university, you're sort of choosing the right one for you. And just a nice quote to sort of finish on here. This is from a current student at UEA who came through clearing to UEA, and he sort of gave us a bit of a top tip from him in terms of going through clearing and being proud of yourself in the last couple of years, especially with kind of lockdowns that have been going on and the kind of unsettling time that we've had. So whatever happens, try not to panic, and remember that you've had a very different 2 years in your education, and you will find the right place for you. I'll just leave this slide up so you can have a little read, but just remember to get prepared, plan ahead, have all your details ready before contacting a university, keep an eye on your emails, and remember that you can collect as many clearing offers as you like, but they will have deadlines. So keep them all written down, talk to universities. As long as you're keeping in touch with us, everything should be fine. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this was useful.
So a big thank you to Lydia for that excellent session. Really loved the quote from Jake, one of the UEA students, but also the slide that went through the various different scenarios that you might be presented with on results day. I think that will be really, really handy. Our next speaker is Ruth, joining us from the University of Winchester. Ruth's going to talk about Clearing Plus, but also how to prepare in advance of results day, but also then what happens after that as well. And with that, always conscious you're here to hear from, you want to hear from our speakers, not from myself. I'll introduce Ruth. Ruth, over to you.
Okay, thanks. So my name's Ruth, and I work in the schools and college team at the University of Winchester. So today I'm going to go through some of the options that are open to you if you're preparing for clearing or thinking about it as an option as you go further forward. So first thing to say, and one of the questions we get asked an awful lot, is whether you want to make a change. Now, lots of students might have got their results and they've maybe decided, I now no longer want to go to my firm choice. So if you wish to switch to your insurance choice, you still have to go through clearing. Ring up your insurance choice, tell them you'd like to come to them first. You have to decline your firm choice, and then you can go back on and reapply through your insurance choice. So important to factor that in if you're looking at switching or swapping. If you want to change your course, perhaps you've applied for history, you've had a change of heart, you now want to study politics, contact the university directly. And what I would say in preparation of results day is if you think that's something you want to do before you've even seen your results, contact them now. So university admissions teams are available all the way through the summer. Get in touch with them if you want to make a switch early. It helps them out so they can get it done before results day and they're super busy, but also they will genuinely give you an answer if they really don't think it's possible. So if you want to make a course change, but maybe stay at the same university, again, contact them as soon as you are able. And remember that you can self-release into clearing at any point. So that might be prior to results day, or it might be after. So worth factoring that in if you're still kind of deciding exactly what route is going to be best for you. Now, one of the things I would say, I do like a fact from UCAS, and last year, just over 73,000 students found a place in clearing. I think very often people assume that it's because they maybe haven't got the grades or have missed out. What people are using clearing for increasingly is to shop around. It's like shopping in the sales. They've maybe decided one thing they like already and are maybe switching and changing their mind. So actually at the moment, it's a perfect opportunity to have a little look, see what's on offer, and then decide if you want to use clearing to your advantage. What I would say and what's really important is not necessarily just to jump to something different. So think about what you've enjoyed about your study you've perhaps undertaken already, maybe what you're looking for from your university experience. Some universities are still printing and publishing how they're going to be teaching things in September. So if you want to switch and make a change, use clearing and use the system to your advantage so that you're going somewhere that you really think you're going to enjoy. First thing to look for is on the clearing search, and you can do that now. So it's opened on the 5th of July. You can have a little look and make sure that you can see the courses that are available. This can be really useful if you're just kind of mystery shopping around to see what's on offer. You can search for a particular course and it will come up with all the courses that are available. It might be, particularly if you're changing course, say you've applied for business management, you've now decided you want to do marketing. It's a subtle change, but it's maybe quite important in terms of the degree you're studying. Have a little look on clearing and see what's on offer. And it might be that actually you can see the courses that are going to suit you better that you might want to switch and change to. One of the main features that UCAS has changed in the last couple of years is something called Clearing Plus. And so you end up with a button when you log in to your track that allows you to see opportunities that are available in Clearing Plus. Now, as I've just shown, you can just do a course search. So standard course search is still there and it's always been there. But on Clearing Plus, different universities might end up being listed for you than perhaps other people, where universities and the data UCAS holds demonstrate that they know there are some spaces available. Now, what you'll notice from the list is it comes up in quite a kind of bland order. So just because a match is perhaps at the top of that list doesn't mean that's your top match. It just means that it's in alphabetical order, or the algorithm behind it means that it's got sort of enough search terms that mean it's more likely to be relevant for you. So do look through the entire list and you'll get quite a long list of courses that might be possible for you. You'll also see some universities have got logos. You'll notice some will have links on. The universities pay for those. So that's not because we're any better or more keen to have you as a student. The universities pay for that advertising. So when you find that list, make sure you're looking at it really carefully, checking what the course looks like and checking that those matches are going to suit what you're interested in. What you'll often find as well is perhaps for a very broad course, say something like English or history, realistically, one English degree is very different to another. So again, your Clearing Plus match might say, we think this course might be for you, but you need to drill down and still do the research to check if actually that English course has got the right amount of English literature. Is it focused on only modern literature? And actually you'd rather do something that's maybe a bit more historical. So the list is only really just a start. It's not necessarily saying this is exactly the right course for you. So it does still take a little bit of research to get you where you want to be. If you find a course you're interested in, you can click I'm interested, and you can do that on up to 5 courses. So you can choose 5 that you would like to say that you're interested in. When you click you're interested, it alerts the universities that you want to possibly receive information from us. And I'll explain that in a little bit more detail in a second. Obviously, if you're unsuccessful in your application, as I've mentioned, you'll see this See Matches section. Now, the See Matches are based on what you've already applied for. So if you're studying and you've applied to, say, psychology, but you've now decided you'd like to study criminology, realistically, UCAS don't know that yet. They haven't got that information. So the My Matches won't work if that's the case, and you have to go back and do the previous search. So it will depend on how much you've shifted your parameters and maybe how much you're changing what you're looking for. What it also will do is look at the other universities you've applied for. So say perhaps you've applied for universities miles away from home, but you've now decided in clearing you'd like to apply closer to home. The algorithm doesn't necessarily know that. So again, if you perhaps don't want to see certain universities, or you perhaps are looking at changing your search parameters, Clearing Plus might not work in the same way for you as it might have previously. What it does look at, and what you might find, is that some universities will appear in the My Matches because they think they're a good fit for you. So again, check it, have a look at the list, but it might be that a combination of Clearing Plus and a good old kind of just searching through are the best ways to find the universities that are going to be most suitable for you. What I would say with Clearing Plus is most universities will be listed in it, but not all of them are using it. So to give you an example, we offer physiotherapy, and last year we had about 4 places left in clearing. Now, if you'd clicked that I'm interested button at 10 o'clock, if by 10:30 we've received 9 or 10 phone calls, those 4 places might have already gone. And before we've been able to download the data from UCAS that says you're interested, we might have given those places away. Other universities have said, actually, we do look at the I'm interested that comes through, but at the moment when we're really busy, when we open our phone lines first thing in the morning, we don't have the capacity to be ringing up those people straight away. So it's important to factor that in when you're saying I'm interested. It doesn't automatically mean that you've got a place or that that university is going to contact you directly. So I would suggest, if it's a university and you think that's brilliant, I can't believe they've got a place in clearing for that course, that's exactly what I want to do, then make sure that you're making contact with them directly and not just clicking the I'm interested button. Like I've mentioned already, some matches won't appear in general clearing and will appear only in the Clearing Plus system. So do check it just to make sure. There might be something in there that's good for you, that you can actually ring the university and say, I've had a look, you came up as one of my matches in UCAS track. Is it possible that you're able to offer me a place? So do use kind of the combination of those things to get yourself and bag yourself a space. What I would say, and one of the big kind of maybe myths, I suppose, about clearing and using Clearing Plus is that the grades are going to be considerably lower. And what we know from some of the data that's come out of UCAS in the last month is that actually for very selective and competitive courses, the kind of rejection rate this year has been significantly higher. So lots of young people haven't been successful at kind of getting those offers at a higher level this year. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they won't change their grades slightly in clearing, but I wouldn't suddenly expect a university to drop their grades perhaps as dramatically as we've seen in previous years. What I would say is universities are aware of the different learning environments people have had this year, and particularly the impact of the teacher assessed grades. So we are using our discretion where we can see there are strong applicants who may be suitable for a programme. So don't presume that your grades will get you into a significantly higher course, but certainly do look around and shop around wisely to see if there are opportunities that are available. When it comes to adding a choice, you can add a UCAS choice from 2 p.m. on results day. You don't have to do it straight away. If you've contacted universities and you've maybe either kind of electronically or via phone have contacted several, you can sit on those offers for a little while. Universities will have a time, sort of a time limit by which that offer will dissolve. For some, it might be 12 hours. For a lot, it might be 24 or 48 hours. So that by the time you get to kind of Thursday after results day, if you've not added it into your UCAS track, they will then kind of take that offer back so they can offer it to somebody else. So do make sure once you've had to think about it, you are able to add that offer into clearing. What I would say is if you've achieved higher grades, Clearing Plus might not be for you, and it might actually be adjustment that you're after. Adjustment means you can still hold your firm place, and then you can also shop around. So you can then contact other universities to see if they will accept you with the grades you've achieved that are possibly a little bit higher than you were expecting. Adjustment works for 5 days after the time that you've triggered it in UCAS Track. So once you've triggered it, it might be on results day or it might be 2 or 3 days later. It hangs around for 5 days and you've got 5 days to put your offer in. So again, have a look and see what opportunities are on the vacancy list from clearing. And if you've got better than you thought and you want to kind of trade up to maybe a higher tariff university, then you can do that at that point using adjustment. So I've mentioned lots of different schemes and opportunities that are available. Certainly do have a really good look round before results day. What we do know is the UCAS website's a brilliant source of information, but very often, no matter all the infrastructure they put in place, so many people logging on results day does sometimes mean that the websites crash. Universities do try really hard to make sure that they've got enough capacity, but there's no guarantees on the day. So have a look round, do your research, check the course details, the modules, and see if it keeps updating. Really do check the day before, because by then universities will have their results. They will know what places they've got available the day before actual results day. Make sure, again, you're writing things down. If you've got a course code, if you've got something you're looking for, it might be that you're trying to look it up at the same time as being on the phone to somebody and the website won't load. So old school pen and paper can be really useful to make sure you've got those details and you sound like you're organised if you're ringing universities. All your personal information is really useful. Again, a university might ask you your GCSE grade you got, might ask you a particular detail about something you've studied. So again, have that to hand so you have got it ready and you're not having to scrabble around for information. And also, see who's available in your school or college. So on UCAS Track, your results don't appear. And equally, it might be that if you do need some support, it's important to go back to the schools and college that you may have been studying at, particularly if you want to query those grades. So find out who's available. Every year we get students who say, oh, well, I've not heard anything back. And they've emailed perhaps their geography teacher who's having a crocking holiday in Iceland and actually isn't picking up their email. They needed to be perhaps emailing or contacting their head of year or a pastoral tutor. Their geography teacher's having a great time on holiday. So make sure you know who it is you need to contact so that if there are any issues, you can get in touch. I've mentioned research already. Do check what they have on offer. There are also more open days and events taking place. Some of those are running virtually, but there's also lots of online talks this year as well. We run events after results day where people can come and visit the campus and have a look round. So it might be that you're holding an offer for a university you've maybe not researched particularly before, and actually going and having a look at it a couple of days after you've got your results can be a really good way of just confirming in your mind that that's definitely where you want to study. Certainly, if you're perhaps looking at someone at home driving you there, make sure that you've spoken to them and said, look, if this happens on results day, I'll need you on Thursday to drive me to wherever it is I'm going to have a little look at it. So try and plan some of that in before you get there. And as I've mentioned already, any queries about your grades, you do need to go back to the place that you have studied to be able to get some answers about those this year. Accommodation is one of the things people often worry about during clearing. What I would say is allocation for accommodation is done in lots of different ways. Some universities will have accommodation available and you can apply for that as soon as you get your results and confirm your pace in clearing. Others will kind of expect you to be sorting that accommodation out yourself and might not have the capacity to be offering you university managed housing. So do check and make sure you understand what this looks like. Last year particularly, and possibly because of COVID, we saw students who are choosing to study maybe slightly closer to home. Again, if you're looking at suddenly commuting to a university, check what that might look like. If it's still an hour and a half on the train, is that any better commuting than possibly choosing to live there? So check the accommodation and how you're going to be getting to university to make sure that you're happy with that aspect of your time at university. Like I mentioned already, once you're confirmed, there's a few things you might be able to do. So you can certainly then get your bank account started and open your student bank account. If you've changed university and course, it's really important to let Student Finance know that you've changed the details of where you're choosing to study, so they can then make sure your loan is going in the right direction and at the right amount. So again, make sure you let Student Finance know if that has changed. You can crack on with the packing, get yourself ready to be moving off to university. And also the rules are changing quite significantly. So government guidance is continually changing. If you've switched to a new university, or you've perhaps picking up a university that you maybe haven't researched before, make sure you really digest all the information that's available, so you know what's on offer in the accommodation, what you might need to pack, and actually what their expectations are. They might be completely different to perhaps the university you were holding an offer with previously. If you're not sure, you can obviously select a university for clearing, add that in your UCAS track, and then kind of wait for the dust to settle. So you might then decide to actually have a visit, go and have a look, go around the town and just investigate what the university is about. Clearing remains open for quite a long time after results into October. Now, although there's a bit of a frenzy straight after results day, actually there are still spaces, maybe a week or a couple of weeks later, for some still good courses that you might want to study. So don't feel under pressure to have to pick something straight away. Have a good look round, do kind of your research, and then decide exactly what you want to do. And it might be that there are other routes that you're also considering. We do expect after results day this year that for there to be a little kind of flurry of degree apprenticeship opportunities opening up. So again, look at all your options to decide if actually that's going to be the best route for you this year. If you want a little bit more help, then certainly, like I've mentioned already, do contact the school and college you've perhaps previously studied at. UCAS do have a dedicated clearing number, and you can contact them directly. They're also available on lots of different social media accounts. Obviously, their speed will vary once we get into results day. They obviously have staff answering questions, but can take a little while to respond. There's also an exam results helpline, and that's run by a range of different organisations where you can just talk through possibly going to university, but also actually any other broad questions you have about the routes that are available to you. And certainly it can be a stressful time if you are kind of concerned or worried about anything. Student Minds is a fantastic resource that you can access with lots of advice and tips if there's anything that you're particularly concerned about. So finally, do connect and ask questions. Speak to universities. There's never a question that is not silly. So again, ask us anything you're interested in, and we can have advisors to help you. That might be on the phone, or if you're more used to it and kind of feel more comfortable, then obviously use the live chat to get in touch. Thank you.